Hello and welcome to my kitchen. Today I'm going to show you my go-to appetizer dish, instant dhokra. So let's get cooking. 2 cups or 370 grams of coarse semolina, 2 tablespoons of chickpea flour, which is also known as gram flour, 1 cup of yogurt, 1 cup of water. You'll need 2 teaspoons of grated ginger, 1 garlic clove, 3 chilies, and you can reduce that if you don't want it so hot, half a cup of frozen corn, 1 teaspoon of salt, a 1/4 teaspoon of turmeric, 2 tablespoons of sugar, 3 tablespoons of lemon juice, 4 tablespoons oil, 1 teaspoon of baking powder, 1 teaspoon of fruit salts, 3 tablespoons oil, 1 teaspoon of mustard seeds, 1 teaspoon of sesame seeds, 1 green chili, 5 to 7 curry leaves, and 2 tablespoons of chopped coriander. You'll also need a deep pot because we're going to be steaming the dhokras. 2 thalis, now these are 20 centimeters in diameter. You can also use a bowl if you don't have one of these stainless steel thalis. You'll need something to put in the pot that will hold up the thalis or the bowls that you have when we're steaming it. And you'll need something to pull out the thalis once it's steamed because it will be hot. An additional thing I use is a tea towel because when it's steaming, I cover the lid so that the steam from the lid does not fall on top of the dhokla. Before you get started, make sure that your pot is deep enough and wide enough so that once you put the steaming rack in and your tray, you want to make sure that your tray fits and also that there's enough space for the dhokla to rise once you have the lid on. Also, make sure that you're comfortable in taking out the tray before all of this gets really hot. I'm going to use my liquidizer and I'm going to break up the green chilies in there because I want everything mixed up really well. I'm going to add the grated garlic and ginger. I like to grate it just to make sure there's no big pieces. I'll add the yogurt and I'm going to add 1 cup of water in here just to mix it all up. So we have our bowl here. I'm going to put the semolina into the bowl. First thing I'm going to do is mix in the chickpea flour. I'm going to use a whisk to do this, just mix it up well. Okay, that looks fine. I'm going to pour in the liquid that we made with the yogurt, ginger and garlic and chili. I'm going to add the sweet corn and the salt and the turmeric. And I'm going to mix that up. I'll add the lemon juice and the sugar. And you'll notice that as this sits, it actually will get thicker. So this is the consistency it should be. At this point, you can taste it and see if you want to add more salt, sugar, lemon juice, anything like that. So just go ahead and taste it. Actually, that's good and sweet and sour. I'm going to add in the oil and mix it up. Now you have to make sure that you mix the oil in thoroughly before you mix in the fruit salt and the baking powder because otherwise your fruit salt will not activate. So you can see this is mixed in properly. The oil is no longer sitting on top. That's how you want it to look. Now this is quite forgiving. You can let this sit for a couple of minutes. It will thicken up, in which case you can add a little bit more water, but this is about the consistency you want to see it. And then I'll put my little rack in there. It's not covered by the water, it's just below that line there. We're going to bring this to a boil. So in the meantime, while the water is coming to a boil, I'm going to oil my thalis. Now I like to do this just with my hands, putting about a teaspoon of oil in there. It's okay, this is not an exact measurement, but you really want to grease the tray well. Make sure to go all the way around the sides as well. Once the trays are greased, I'm coming back to my mix, and I did add maybe another tablespoon of water in here. The consistency now looks good to me. So I am going to add the teaspoon of fruit salt and the teaspoon of baking powder. Don't add baking soda, otherwise you'll end up with orange spots on top. So we're going to just mix it around, just make sure it's incorporated, and they'll come out nice and fluffy. You don't want to over mix it, you just want to make sure it's mixed in well, and that looks fine. Now I'm going to just estimate and pour this in the trays, a half in each tray, half of the mix that we have in each tray. And you'll see I use these spatulas a lot. I love them. I'm going to get my tea towel. I'm going to put the lid on it and just fold so that it's kind of tight around the lid. Now this just helps prevent the steam from the lid falling onto the dhokla and ruining the top of the dhokla. All right, so now I can see there's steam coming up. It's fine. I'm going to go ahead and place my thalis one at a time into the pan. Now do this very carefully so that it doesn't tip over. All right. And I'm going to cover this with the lid with the towel on it. And you're going to steam for 15 to 20 minutes. So it's been 20 minutes, and I'm just going to turn the heat down because the heat is on high. If I stick the knife in, you see it comes out clean. That means it's ready. So I'm going to carefully remove the tray and put it on my counter. I can do this because I have granite, but make sure you have a hot plate ready. Now the next plate is ready to go in, and I'm just going to go ahead and place it. There is enough water in here to continue steaming for one more tray. If you need more water, of course, add more water, bring it to a boil, and then do it again. So now this thali is ready. You have to remember to let this cool for about 10 minutes. You cannot cut this if it's hot. If you try and cut it when it's hot, what will happen is your knife will go through and all the mix will start, sticking to your knife, and it will not be a good cut. So it's been 10 minutes and the tray has been sitting here. Now the way to cut the dhokra is to actually go around the rim first and then cut it in squares. Because it's nicely greased, it actually comes out easily. So you see my knife is relatively clean. Now I'm going to cut the other way. Once it's cut, go ahead and leave it in the tray. We're going to add the tempering and the garnishing on top before we move them to our serving dish. I'm getting the tempering ready here. I'm going to let the pan heat up just a bit. Make sure you have a pan with a lid, because when we put the sesame seeds in, it is gonna fly. My pan is heated now. I'm going to add the oil. Let that heat up for about 30 seconds. I'm going to keep my lid handy and add the mustard seeds. Alright, so my mustard seeds are popping. Once you hear them popping, go ahead and add the green chilies and the curry leaves and the sesame seeds. Leave it on the heat for about 10 seconds and then turn off the heat. If you want to, you can also add half a teaspoon of hing or asafoetida to this tempering. So this is my tempering. I'm going to add it by a spoonful to the dhokla. Okay, that looks good. And this will be for the second tray. And then I'm going to add half of the chopped coriander to garnish it with. When you're taking it out of the tray, start from the middle. Thanks for watching, guys. I hope you enjoyed this dhokla recipe and all the tips and tricks that I gave you. If you make this dish, definitely send me a picture. I'd love to see it. And please subscribe to my channel for more cooking inspiration.